to have a meeting with people that nobody ever heard of before.
What changed to make you make that decision?
Too much travel. When they say the meeting's scheduled for Tuesday, I said, Tuesday, that's a long time from now. But when you get right down to it, it's a lot of traveling. No, we don't want to do that.
At what point do you send Witkoff and Kushner and send Vice President Vance in? What point
well,
are you going to be ready?
They're all very competent, all three. Those are three good. But they weren't meeting with the leader of the country. They were meeting with other people. And
I mean, bro, are their delegates meeting with you, Trump? No. So, and yeah, no, it was the foreign minister and the leader of the parliament. And I heard they had the Ayatollah actually on the phone. So, yeah, I mean, they were getting their word from the Ayatollah. So you kind of were meeting with them. And trust me, the way JD Vance was walking in and out of that room talking to you, they were meeting with you. So it was a pretty fair negotiation. Well, you know, in terms of status-wise.
Said, we're just not going to do it. Too much traveling, takes too long, too expensive. I'm a very cost-conscious person.
Mr. President, you said this week that you're not a fan of predictions.
I'm weak. Gas prices go up with jet fuel. You know that.
Markets and that they're turning the country into a casino. But at the same time,
I'm not.
That you're not a fan of predictions.
Well, I don't know. I know some people that are very smart. They like it. They disagree, but they like it. But what would you like to know? Who are you with?
I'm with Decrypt, a crypto-focused publication, and we also have a prediction market. And your administration is aggressively pushing to legalize these markets, and I was wondering if you potentially wanted to reconsider that policy.
A lot of other countries are doing it, and when the other countries do it, we get left out in the cold if we don't do it.
I mean, shameless plug time, but shout out to our partners over there at Kalshi. You can sign up to Kalshi using my promo code SET Media. So, yep, you can go ahead and sign up to Kalshi now. Use my promo code SET Media, and when you trade 20, you'll get $20 back. All right, guys. All right, I'm done with the shameless plug. See, it wasn't that bad. I could have played the whole 2-minute video, but make sure you double tap that screen and like the video and get the likes and supports up, or I will be playing that 2-minute video. Hey, let's keep it going.
So, but I know people that are in the prediction market business, and they're pretty.
On the subject of crypto, what made you decide to go and attend this Meme Coin conference today?
It's a big industry, and we want to beat China at the industry. We're leading with crypto. We're leading with AI, and I really feel I have an obligation from this. As a president, I have to be able to make sure that all of our industries do well. Crypto is a big industry. It's become somewhat mainstream. The banks have it. People have it, and I think as the leader of the country, we want to lead in AI. And we're leading China by a lot in AI, and we're also leading in crypto.
Do you agree with the decision by Jeanine Pirro to drop the investigation into Jerome Powell?
Well, I want to find out. You know, it's not dropped. They're looking into the whole thing about the IG. What I want to look at, with the IG. What I want to,
bro, there was really nothing there. You were trying to hit him up for what, overspending on the building, and there was really no like evidence that he was, doing it duplicitously. So nothing there.
Look at is,
but hey, though, I don't like Powell either, bro. Too Late Powell is an accurate name for the man.
How can a building that I could have done for $25 million cost $4 billion? That's a big thing, and he was in charge. So we'll get to the bottom of it. Yeah, I think Jeanine is fantastic, and she worked with other people on that. I tell you, I want to find out. I have an obligation to find out. This was done during Biden, but I have an obligation to find out I would have done that building for $25 million, had money left over, and it would have been open a long time ago.
You are her people.
I want to find out because for the country, look, we have a railroad under construction in California. That's the worst thing I've ever seen under Gavin Newsom. And I want to find out why that one is costing 20 times what it was projected to cost. Likewise, the Fed building is a small. I built a hotel in Washington. It's a Waldorf Astoria. I built it for $201 million. And I believe
the fact that we don't have high-speed railways, but China does, is a huge disappointment. It does let us know that we spend too much maybe on military instead of infrastructure. Because some high-speed railways would be dope as hell. Like, come on, guys. Why can't we get down with that instead of supporting war?
I believe it's bigger than the Fed building.
Or bailout, or giving a bailout to airline companies that are trash.
And you have bathrooms. You have a lot of, it's much tougher, much more expensive to build a hotel than an office. I want to find out, how can a building of that size cost for whatever it's going to be? Nobody knows, by the way, what it's going to be. Kevin is going to be fantastic. Kevin Warsh. He may never get to be in that building.
Is it smooth sailing for him now? Will Tillis drop his block?
I would imagine it's smooth, but whether it is or not, somebody has to find out why that building that should have cost $25 million is costing billions of dollars.
$2 billion.
And you know why they have to find it out? For other buildings, because that's not the only one. I think that's.
I would be a dick and I would hit Trump with, well, I mean, hey, man, you know, inflation, man. I mean, which means 25 million back in your day would have done it, but shoot, 25 million today is probably about 2 billion.
The most egregious example.
What else caused on Iran as you're figuring out who is in charge? If the hardliners or IRGC-aligned leaders have greater power in Iran, can the U.S. make a deal with those factors?
Whoever's running the show.
Are we communicating with those
Deal
factors?
with whoever runs the show. They don't know. They are fighting with each other.
No. Come on now. Trump knows who's running Iran. We all know who's running it. The problem is those that, well, the people who are running is not giving what we want. And what Trump wants. And what Trump wants, like I said, unconditional surrender. They give up everything and get nothing, and we walk away looking like the champions of the world. But yeah, that's not happening. So because that's not happening, we got to frame it as if, oh no, there's the reason why they're not taking our maximalist demands is because there's disruption in the leadership. When there is none, they're just not taking our maximalist demands.
There's tremendous infighting. They're probably fighting for leadership. In many cases, I think they're fighting not to be the leader because we knocked out 2 levels of leaders. But I'll deal with whoever we have to. But there's no reason to wait 2 days, have people traveling for 16, 17 hours. And we're not doing it that way. We'll do it when they want. They can call me. We have all the cards. We've won everything. We have all the cards.
Yesterday, you said to Reuters that we're dealing with who is in charge now. What changed from yesterday to today?
Do we, Trump? Because I feel like the Strait of Hormuz would be open if we had all the cards, and we'd have their enriched uranium and all that good stuff if we had all the cards.
Hey,
Nothing. It's just that they gave us a paper that should have been better. And interestingly, immediately when I canceled it, within 10 minutes, we got a new paper that was much better.
what was on that
Can you tell us?
paper, sir? What was
We
the
talked
paper?
about they will not have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. Look, that whole deal is not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very
Did they
simple.
offer
ceasefire
like 20
remaining?
years
Will
on?
you continue the ceasefire?
Haven't even thought about it
Did
yet.
they offer anything in return to 20 years of suspending enriched uranium?
They offered a lot.
What
but
did they offer?
They offered a lot, but not enough. Thank you.
Will
Oh,
Kevin
Kevin
Warsh be
Warner.
Fed chair?
Yeah, what he means by that is that, well, hold on here.
He's a senior fellow at the Middle East.
Anyway, though, what Trump was pretty much talking about by they're not giving enough is that, well, no, they're giving it up, but they want something back. And what they wanted was $20 billion in unfrozen assets. And Trump was like, yeah, hell no. Who do I look like? Obama? And I mean, the Iranians are like, bro, you better get like Obama if you really want to end this conflict. And Trump's like, no, you're going to give it to us, well, for nothing. We're not giving you anything. Actually, look, you give it to us and we'll start dropping bombs on your head. And Iran's like, well, I guess you better start dropping these bombs because we're not giving it up. So here we are at the stalemate.
I've got here with me Jason Campbell. He's a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute, but he's also been the Secretary of Defense's country director for Afghanistan and the NATO Special Operations Analyst. So, Jason, how would it actually work if the United States was going to try and go in and get this highly enriched uranium?
Well, John, this would be an extremely complex operation and come with a very high degree of risk. Fundamentally, you'd want to be near certain as to where the location of the highly enriched uranium is. And in some scenarios, you might be dealing with more than one location, which just exponentially increases the risk because you're now talking about multiple operations, either simultaneously or in very quick succession.
Okay, so where might those locations be?
Well, there are 3 primary candidates. The first is Isfahan, the second is Natanz, and the third is Fordow. We know from credible open source reporting that the Iranians likely moved their highly enriched uranium to this facility in Isfahan prior to last year's 12-day war.
Okay, so let's take that just to make things a little bit easier for our military planners.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Isfahan, what are they going to have to do to go and get it?
Okay, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video. If you've got any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, or if you want to suggest a video. Well, if you want to suggest a video, that's $10 and up if you're not a member, and it's $5 and up if you are a member. But Any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, feel free to super chat that in. All right, let's get right back to it.
Last year's 12-day war.
Okay, so let's take that just to make things a little bit easier for our military planners. If it's Isfahan, what are they going to have to do to go and get it?
Right. Well, the first thing you do before you insert any ground forces would be a series of preemptive strikes against any Iranian military assets in the immediate area, and also try to limit the degree, if not completely blind the Iranians to this oncoming operation. In an ideal world, you'd have a broader set of strikes around the country to keep Iran's attention off this primary objective. After that, because we know Isfahan was damaged.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You don't think they know that we're coming at this point? And it was like a shit show just getting that soldier out of there. Like, bro, when that guy got shot down in Iran and we got him out of there, thank God. But when we got him out of there, even that was a risk. We lost two helicopters and a couple of aircrafts doing that. Picking up a guy. Imagine how much we're going to lose trying to seize uranium.
The 12-day war last year, you're talking about limited accessibility. So that means you have to put in a cordon with ground forces numbering roughly 1,000 or so to keep the area safe. These ground forces are still going to be very vulnerable, so you're going to need near constant air support flying over them to help protect them and have eyes on what's going on in their immediate area. And then things get more complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why it'll be more complicated is because they're going to start firing missiles. They're going to start firing drones in that area. So seizing their uranium, I mean, we could do it. It's possible, and it'd probably be a success. But, bro, the casualties, the equipment lost, bro, we can't sit there and pretend like this would be a flawless victory. And if it is, then, I mean, God bless America. But I gotta be real. Like 90%, most likely, we're going to take some casualties, or best case scenario, lose a whole lot of equipment.
So let's assume that all of that's in place. How do they get more complicated? What comes next?
That's right. Well, we know from reporting that the 3 known entrances to the Esfahan facility were damaged in last year's 12-day war and have since been backfilled by the Iranians with soil to make breaching them even more difficult. So now you have to go outside of the military realm and bring in the type of equipment and personnel who can start to dig out a path for the special operations forces trained in breaching these types of facilities to even get in.
So just to check, we're talking about getting in contractors with specialized equipment and telling them you're going to be digging, possibly under fire, possibly for some time, for some quite radioactive stuff.
Absolutely, and not potentially.
I'm crying, bro. I'd have said it laughing too. I'm like, you know how unlikely that is? Yeah, so yeah, not only do we have to secure the location, but we're like, and yeah, we can secure the location inside of Iran, block it off, but it's going to be under constant missile fire, drone fire. Army, like IRGC personnel is going to try to take it back. And then while all that's going on, we're going to be trying to dig for their uranium. Oh, man. Man, that'd be crazy.
You are going to be under fire and under heavy threat while you're in this location.
Okay, so they've dug, then presumably a specialized US team has gone in once they've cleared the pathway to actually get the uranium. What's the timescale for this?
It's very difficult to say. The U.S. does have special operators that are trained in how to breach some of these facilities. They are trained in how to detect and handle this sensitive material. But what they're going to find when they get down there is too difficult to say. There's maybe damage from last year's bombing. There likely will be some booby traps. So you're talking not hours, you're talking maybe more than a day to get down and locate it, never mind bring it out to the surface.
And the overall operation, possibly weeks.
Absolutely. This is not a quick raid or a quick strike. This is an indeterminate amount of time, likely more than a week.
I mean, here's a problem, bro. We can use our naval force. I don't even think we can open up the Strait of Hormuz. Like I said, it's going to be an all-out fight with our naval vessels and well, I'm to be real with you. Not only their kamikaze speedboats, but their missiles, the missile defense system on the ports of Iran, on the coast of it. So yeah, Iran. I'm be real with you guys. Like, we could win, but how much are we willing to lose to win? That's the problem. And also, if we act with too much aggression, are they just going to start decimating energy infrastructure in the Middle East? These are all questions, or all questions that we need to take into account before we commit to any type of strikes.
Should they do it, given all of the above?
Considering all these factors, it's very difficult to see this being a feasible option. To flip it around, if I were an IRGC commander, I've prepared for this scenario, and I would look at this as a potential early birthday present because they know exactly what to do, and they will strike at this hard.
All right, now let's get into, let's pivot off the war for a little bit. Let's get into it right here. Shout out to our guy, Stephen Miller.
Impeachment trigger, here to discuss the impeachment trigger happy Democrat, Stephen Miller, White House.
Sid's hey, now every time I play Stephen Miller, I laugh because Sid hates this guy with a burning passion. Actually, all my Democratic homies hate this guy with a burning passion. I still don't get it. I still don't, but it is what it is. I'm be real with you though. What he did with the Renee Good thing, though, that was disgusting. The way he tried to call her a terrorist, or domestic terrorist, I didn't agree with that at all. But him on domestic policy, though, I can't be too upset. Rhetoric, insane. His wife, crazy.
Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen. So is the White House shaking in its boots over this potential third impeachment with these people? This is insane.
The Democrats are the party of communists, radical leftists, crazy lunatics, and America haters. Every time they have tried to go after President Trump with their hoaxes, their witch hunts, their lies, their scams, fake news, their persecutions, all they've succeeded in doing is making President Trump more popular, more successful, more beloved by the American people, and humiliating themselves in utter disgrace. As President Trump has said,
I get
the
it.
Democrats
that's why I never really go too hard on. Trust me. I mean, like I said, all I really disagree with is this war and him kind of walking back to make America great again agenda that he was on. Like, outside of that, I actually do agree with Trump on a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to immigration, how we should be dealing with our economy, trade deals, and all this good stuff. Like, I agree with that. But when it comes to this war, dog, it just walks back all of that right there. I mean, bro, we start off a war with Iran. We destabilize the Middle East. We create refugees. Those refugees are going to start flooding America and the UK, period, point blank. And then we're really going to start crying about the Islamists. So I don't get how that helps us there. I mean, it's raising gas prices. We're talking about affordability. That's not being solved. And no new wars. And I know people want to sit there and say, oh, but in the 80s, he was talking about it. And I was like, bro, that's the 80s. I'm pretty sure he's seen the mistakes from that interview and he changed his position, which he told us in 2016. So I'm sorry, but bringing up a conversation from the 80s is irrelevant. Let's talk about what he was saying in modern day, which was no new wars with Iran. Going into the Middle East is a bad idea. Well, no new wars, and then war with Iran's a bad idea. He even condemned Obama for even thinking about it. So here we are championing something that he condemned another president for even thinking about doing. Like, do y'all hear yourselves right now? Mag, I'm talking to y'all.
are only good at two things: sticking together and cheating. That's all they're good at. Their policies are terrible, unpopular, and hated. Open borders, record crime.
I'll give you that. You know what? No, it said I gave that one. He said, why wouldn't I hate him when he has such nice things to say about people like me? And you're right. He says, oh, the Democratic Party, a party of American haters. You know what? I'm not going to say that. I'd say they're very concerned Americans. Maybe overly concerned, but I don't think they don't hate America. Leftists, now on the far left, they hate America. They do actually. But liberals, Democrats, most of them, no, they actually love America. They just don't like who's in charge. And we can't confuse that for hating America. It's like I said, it's like I don't stand for Trump. I stand for what Trump was, I'm campaigning on. I stand for America first, not Trump. And I think if you ask a Dem, they feel the same way. I mean, even if you ask them about Biden, it's like, yo, we stood for a return to normalcy, getting Donald Trump out of there, getting back to, I don't know too much of what the vision was with Biden. All I know is that it was always about a return to normalcy. And we thought I guess y'all thought y'all was going to get better, but really I got chaotic. So sorry about that one. But what I really tried to say is that I think I might have lost my train of thought on that one. But what I'm really trying to say is that no, Dems, they don't hate America. They're just concerned in the direction that America is going. And if we're to be fair as conservatives or Republicans, the only thing we can do is at least try to give them our argument instead of trying to call them haters or what. Or what, panicans, libtard, not well, we're the panicans, but are libtards. At least try to explain our position to them. If they don't want to even listen to it, then you can sit there and call them a libtard. But if they're at least willing to listen to your position, then okay. But I'm be honest with you, it's more of a concern. I don't really see the Democratic Party as haters. Now, I mean, most of them is just concerned. There are some of them that just truly are haters. They don't want nothing to do with anybody who's Republican. They don't want to hear anything Trump is saying. Everything he does is bad. He woke up and breathed this morning. That was the worst thing that happened on earth. Like, that's how some of these guys think, but not all of them.
Time, coddling criminals, massive taxes, shutting down American energy, shutting down American oil production, transgender for kids, transgender for everybody, radical indoctrination in our schools, and
Now, hold on. Not all Democrats are down for the transing of children. Even they condemn the leftists on that one. But the whole green initiative, yeah, y'all all are on that. Like that whole green initiative that actually ended up making energy more expensive, like energy costs, especially when it comes to your light bill. Yeah, you guys are all on board on that one. That was across the board. The leftists, liberals, everybody in the Democrat Party was down with the green agenda. And it didn't really work out so well for us. Well, Americans.
And surrendering to our enemies at home and abroad. That's the Democrat Party. That's what President Trump is fighting against each and every day, crazy. Laura.
Yeah, well, impeachment is easier than...
And you know what, Dems? If I can give you a little bit of advice, can y'all just condemn the whole transing kids thing? That's all we need. Just condemn the whole men and women's sports. Don't gaslight us and hit us with the, well, said it doesn't even happen that much. Why are you concerned? Bro, it shouldn't even be happening once. How is that an argument? Just condemn it and we can move on. Just tell y'all politicians stop with the bullshit and we can move on. I mean, then we can't even use it against you no more. Don't hit us with the, oh, it's only like a 1% like of that happening. Bro, just condemn it. That's all we're asking. All we're asking. Just condemn it and tell your politicians to cut the bullshit. You don't believe in it either. Why are you even arguing for it?
Actually governing, right? They're not about governing. They want to rule over us, not actually govern the country. But Stephen, during this presser...
No, dead ass. If you ask most Dems, do you believe in transing kids? They'll tell you no. But then they'll also say, but oh, it's like a 1% issue that are not even happening that much times. It's like, dude, you don't even agree with it.
On the DHS shutdown issue, Minority Leader Schumer seemed to blame you for letting this drag on. Watch.
Republicans seem to have a different priority. $140 billion for ICE and Border Patrol. No reforms, no accountability, no strings attached. Senate Republicans are choosing to follow Trump and Stephen.
No, I ain't gonna lie, Sid. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. He said, according to Stephen Miller, I'm a communist lunatic terrorist that wants to hurt children. And that is the wild rhetoric about some people on the right, is that they literally try to paint all Democrats as just these evil people that want to destroy America, as long with the Islamists that they kind of fuse y'all together with. I know, it sucks, right?
Miller?
Sorry, guys.
Instead of the needs of the American families.
So are you going to confess on the show tonight, Steve? You're the one who's preventing DHS from getting this funding bill that it needs.
President Trump has presided over the most successful, secure, strong border in the history, not only of this country, but of any country in the entire Western world. In other words, not just in America, but every other country has talked about securing its borders. Italy, France.
Hey, and shout out to my man, Lower Esco. He sent a gold coin for 10 jewels. Appreciate the support, my friend. And like I said, guys, you can send a super chat, gift, Venmo, don't really matter. I appreciate the support either way. And if you can't do that, hey, double tap that screen and like the video, man. Appreciate the support.
England, all across the world. Only one man in one country has actually succeeded in securing its sovereign borders, and that man and that leader is President Trump. The Democrat Party committed war crimes against this nation by flooding our country with foreign terrorists. Tren de Aragua, MS-13, the Mexican Mafia, the Sinaloa Cartel, the most violent, ruthless terrorist organizations on planet Earth to maim, rape, and murder our people. Every single day, you read another horror story about a rapist, a murderer.
Yeah, but hold on now, dog. Hold on now. remember, they did it for the same reason that the Republicans did it under Reagan, was to pretty much just sell out to the corporate agenda. Now these guys got cheaper labor to work their farms and their factories and all this good stuff. Like, no, they're doing it for the same reason that, well, Reagan did it back in the day. So let's just be fair on that. They're not doing it just to let in, like, and I think that's where the Dems kind of get pissed off at us. It's like, whoa, you're really telling people that we let in illegals to rape like Americans? I mean, that was the end result. So I'm be real with you guys. Like damn, you got to hold yourselves accountable on that. All right, you're like, look, yeah, we did open the border, but it wasn't to rape Americans. Like, come on now. But I'm gonna be real. Y'all do not like to talk about that border like too much. But let's be real. Due to the, lack of effort on the border. Children were trafficked. Millions of people, 10 million encounters doesn't mean that they made it over. 10 million encounters from what we got from DHS. Oh, it was about 4 to 7 million illegals coming over, and that's conservative numbers, by the way. So I'm sorry, but they have every, like, Republicans, we on this side, we have every right to be mad at you guys about the immigration effort, but Republicans, we shouldn't sit there and say that, they did it to rape American citizens. To undermine us for sure, rape us. That's just one of the terrible end results that for some reason they don't like to address. Come on, guys. And that's also one thing I need to address too. The fact that y'all let in these illegals and it did end up hurting American citizens. And, when we call that out, y'all really shouldn't try to, move the goalposts on that. But hey, it is what it is. Look, y'all want to move if y'all don't move the goalposts on that, we won't move the goalposts on Renee Good and Alex Preddy. All right? Fair is fair.
Thug, a monster, a child predator let into this country by the Democrats, attacking our families, attacking our children, preying on the innocent in our high schools, in our colleges, dragging people to their deaths, beating them senseless, hacking them to death with machetes. That's what you're seeing from Democrat policies. President Trump, by contrast, record deportations, record low crime, record border security, record safety for American citizens.
I want to get to what happened today at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. It has issued a ruling to block the Trump administration's executive order that suspended asylum access at the southern border. The court ruled that immigration laws allow people to apply for asylum at the border.
I don't like the asylum laws because, bro, a lot of people, they just lie. Like they're really not running from their country, or they're running from their country because they've committed heinous crimes, and now we're just gonna let them in because they got a sad story to sell us. Like, I don't think we should be accepting people under those terms. And if we're not going to verify the story, then we really need to shut this program down, because one of the main complaints out of this is that there's no double checking or corroboration of the stories that they're telling us. They just sell us an Academy Award winning and Oscar winning sad story, and we just let them in.
And that the president cannot bypass this, can't circumvent that. Your response tonight?
Well, of course, this is another example of radical left lawfare. Look, it's what Democrats do. This is the country we're living in today. The Democrat Party, the ACLU, the SPLC, the radical left, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, on down, their lawyers, their organizations, their NGOs. What do? They wake up in the morning and say, how do we flood America with illegals from the third world? That's what animates them. That's what excites them. That's what motivates them. It's just another example of that, of Democrats trying to pry open our borders. It will fail. And President Trump, obviously, his Department of Justice will appeal this ruling, and he will continue to use every resource we have, military.
But you know what's so funny, though? Stephen Miller says that. He does. But let me show you this article real quick, guys. Let me show you something. So, MAGA erupts as Republicans push to offer a path to undocumented migrants. Yeah, it does seem like the Republicans are kind of turning against Trump right now, especially due to this war in Iran, the way the ICE operations has been carried out, which now, man, fuck. Now I actually got to give a little bit of credit to Sid, because he was kind of right. The man was saying, look, bro, if this keeps on going at this pressure, it's going to look really bad for the president. But what Sid didn't predict was that Republicans were going to start going and pushing for amnesty. I know he didn't see that one coming, but he did see a bad outcome for the constant pressure of ICE and it not being reeled in or having any type of guidelines. And here's the thing. I disagree with him on, his guideline argument. I honestly think it's because that the local officials don't want to help ICE, and this will make some act, and this will makes it seem like such a reckless operation because protesters are getting in the way. ICE officers got to do the job, and now they got to do protest work and their operations. But either way, though, we can still put the blame on the government for not really doing enough to, I would say, to create a safe environment for ICE operations. They kind of did let it get out of control, especially in Minnesota, but I will blame that one on Tim Walz. I'll blame him on that one. But I mean, that's it. I got to give it to you. You did say that, hey, this is going to lead to, well, some very bad things. You didn't predict this, though. Now, let's read it, though. A bipartisan immigration bill is exposing cracks within the Republican Party, with lawmakers openly clashing over whether the legislation represents long-sought reform or a form of amnesty for undocumented migrants. The bill is at the center of the dispute is known as the Dignity Act. It was introduced last year by Representative Maria Alsalzara, a Florida Republican, and a Democrat Representative, Veronica Escobar. It makes sense that they're Hispanic, but it is what it is, of Texas, but is now making its way through the House. So, how you feeling? Tough, ain't it? And here's the thing. I mean, like I said, I disagree with this still, but like I said, I do see the way they handle it. It was the Renee Good shooting. The way they handled Renee Good shooting Alex Preddy. Yeah, it's kind of what's leading to this right now. I mean, this is why, and Republicans, this is why I got to hold y'all accountable, or MAGA. Just because it's Trump don't mean it's good. All right, guys, like we've been shown multiple examples how Middle Eastern intervention is not a good thing. But for some reason, because it's Trump, it's all good. We've been like, look what they did with Alex Preddy and Renee Good. As much as I agree with the fact that that guy should not be arrested for the shooting, it doesn't mean that we need to sit there and call her domestic terrorist and ride along with it and then try to slander her name all over the internet, which we tried to do. There was releasing fake criminal history of the young lady. Like, that's unacceptable. Like, we got to hold ourselves accountable, and we got to sit there and stop trying to defend wrong just because it's Trump. Y'all over there defending Trump, depicting himself as Jesus because it's Trump. Like, if any other president did this, y'all have lost y'all shit.
Diplomatic, law enforcement, national security that we have to keep the border sealed shut, to keep illegal aliens out of our country.
What happens now?
But again, you're dealing with a Democrat Party that loves nothing more than flooding this country with people who don't belong here. But Laura,
what are you
going
to do now? You had a Biden judge, you had an Obama judge, then you had the Trump appointee was in dissent. So it's a three-judge panel in the Court of Appeals. I guess this has to go. Presumably,
it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
It'll go to the court.
The president has plenary authority under Section 212F of the INA to prohibit the entry of any class of aliens that he deems necessary. That's the black and white statute.
Got to fast track
it. But in the meantime, I assure you, under President Trump's leadership, every and all tool is being used and will be used to keep that border sealed shut. But look, we are in an existential struggle as a country because we have a movement of people in the Democrat Party who hate borders, hate Americans, hate citizens.
Will you abide by the judge's ruling? Will you, because this is going to be asked by the left, will you abide by the D.C. Circuit's ruling until such a time that the court overturns it?
We have to remember, Laura, the D.C. Circuit upheld an injunction that was equally lawless from the district court junction. So this doesn't change the current status quo at the border. This is one of the most important cases that exists in the entire country with respect to the president's executive actions. I'm not going to advertise to the cartels. I'm not going to advertise to the smugglers what tools President Trump and Secretary Mullen are deploying, but I can promise you, we are going to keep the border sealed completely, totally, fully shut, and this abomination of a ruling, this abomination of a decision will be appealed. We'll win in front of the Supreme Court. And last point, Laura, you talk about the priorities of the American people, whether it be the economy, whether it be healthcare, whether it be education, whether it be quality of life. What each and every one of those things has in common is that Democrats want to destroy those things with unlimited migration, and President Trump is saving those things by reversing that migration and keeping America safe for the American people.
Bro,
Stephen, great to see you tonight as always. Thank you.
I don't know why, but I just feel like Fox is going to turn on Trump eventually. If this war keeps going on, bro, you're going to start seeing like some, Trump bashing on Fox. You're about to see it soon. I think it's going to come from Laura Ingraham of all people. But we'll see. That's just me making a wild prediction, though. All right, now let's get into independent media. Let's have a little fun, guys. Let's have a little fun. We've been on the serious.